I'm Cade Rowan, a xenolinguistic surveyor from Earth. Nothing fancy. I'm trained to record alien dialects and cultural patterns, not to get involved with interstellar royalty. My contract for the cycle was simple: land on Virelix 9, gather speech recordings of the native crystalline life forms, and ship them back to the Institute. Easy job. Good pay. No danger. But en route, my navigation array detected a cosmic phenomenon, a gravitational rift forming near the Zephyr expanse. Normally, I would ignore anomalies outside my mission profile, but this one pulsed with structured energy, like someone was calling through it. And curiosity has always been the ruin of my career, and occasionally my life. So I followed the signal. The rift spat my ship out into orbit above a huge ceremonial complex carved into the surface of a moon I'd never seen mapped. Towers like obsidian spires. Bridges of suspended light. An entire city radiating power. Before I could even question my decision, tractor beams locked onto my ship. I didn't stand a chance. Within minutes, I was dragged into an enormous hangar and surrounded by guards in reflective armor. They escorted me through a corridor lined with living metal that shifted and rippled like mercury. Even the floor hummed with energy. Whatever this place was, its builders were far beyond anything Earth science could dream of. Then they brought me into the throne chamber. The first meeting with the Empress. The hall was colossal. Columns of semi-transparent stone reached up into the atmosphere itself. Luminous threads, like constellations made of silk, hung from the ceiling. And at the center stood a throne carved from a single piece of prismatic crystal. On it sat her. She wore armor that clung to her form like liquid chrome, engraved with symbols that radiated authority. Her presence alone weighed on the room like gravity intensified. She didn't speak at first. She simply looked at me, and I knew she wasn't scanning me. She was reading me. Every thought, every fear, every detail of my soul. Then she rose. Every guard knelt instantly. The light around the room bowed toward her as though pulled by her will. She approached until she stood only a meter away. She inspected me with a calculating, almost disbelieving expression. "You are human," she said finally, her voice like a harmonic resonance vibrating through my bones. "Yes," I managed. "And you speak without trembling before me?" I swallowed. Should I be trembling? Gasps spread through her guards. The Empress's eyes widened, not in offense, but in shock. And then, for the first time, I realized she wasn't angry. She looked uncertain, almost vulnerable. "Who are you?" she breathed. "Cade Rowan, Earth Surveyor." She stared at me, perplexed, almost as if she had never heard someone speak to her without rehearsed reverence. The silence stretched, and I, an idiot, tried to ease it by saying the first honest thing that came to mind. "You're beautiful." Everything stopped. The guards choked. One dropped his weapon. The air itself seemed to halt. The Empress's hands trembled. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Her entire body quivered, not in rage, but in something far deeper. Something like fear. "Do you know who I am?" she finally whispered. "No," I admitted honestly. She exhaled sharply. Almost a gasp. Then, after a moment of disbelief, "I am Empress Lysaria Violetiachuan, sovereign of the astral dominion, keeper of the celestial veils, and the most feared being in 3 galaxies." "Oh," I said. "Still beautiful." The guards groaned again. Middle, the Empress who had never been seen surprisingly, she didn't execute me. Instead, she dismissed her guards and personally ordered that I be brought to her private observatory. It was only when we were alone, with a panoramic view of a swirling nebula casting colors across her luminous skin, that she finally asked, Why did you call me that? What? Beautiful? Because you are. No, she corrected softly. No one has ever said that to me before. I blinked. You're kidding. She turned away, her silhouette glowing against the window. To my empire, I am a weapon, a ruler, a divine force, not a woman, not a being of softness. So they fear you. Fear, she repeated. Worship, obey, but never see. She faced me again, and for the first time, I saw emotion behind her celestial eyes. Why did your words make me tremble? She whispered. Maybe, I said, because they were real. Her breath hitched. We spent hours talking. Not political things. Not imperial protocol. Just life. She asked about Earth sunsets. About music. About why humans cry. About what love feels like, though she never said the word directly. At one point, she stepped closer, examining my face as though memorizing every line of it. Your heart speaks without fear, she murmured. It is dangerous. Honesty is dangerous? To someone who has never known it, she replied quietly. The connection between us deepened, but so did the mystery. Because soon I learned why she trembled when I called her beautiful. The secret of the shattered veil the next cycle, explosions rocked the celestial palace. Her guards dragged me into a safe chamber while the Empress confronted a rebel faction attempting to breach the throne room. I demanded to help, but they refused until Lysaria herself appeared, silver hair whipping around her like storm currents, eyes blazing with astral fire. Cade stays with me, she declared. Even mid-battle, she chose to protect me personally. As the palace shook, she turned to me. There is something you must understand, she said. My power is not natural. She lifted her hand. A shimmering veil of pure energy appeared, a cosmic membrane pulsing like the surface of a star's core. This is the celestial veil, she said. A living cosmic entity that chose me as its host when I was a child. It amplifies my strength, my senses, my influence. It gives me dominion. So you're bonded to it? Yes. And as long as I bear it, I am feared. She turned away, voice lowering. No one dares see me as anything else. She faced me again, eyes softer now. Until you. Before I could respond, the rebel faction burst into the chamber. Energy blasts flew. Lysaria summoned a shield of radiant starlight. One rebel got behind her, aiming directly at her unguarded back. Without thinking, I tackled her out of the way. The blast hit me instead. Searing heat tore through my chest. My vision blurred. I collapsed. Cade, she cried, catching me before I hit the floor. The rebels were instantly incinerated by her fury, but she focused only on me. She lifted my face in her trembling hands. You protected me, she whispered. You're worth protecting, I coughed. Her breath shuddered. Her pupils quivered. A tear, the first I had ever seen from her, slid down her cheek. I cannot lose you, she whispered. She pressed her forehead to mine. The celestial veil's energy flowed into my wound, knitting bone, sealing tissue, restoring breath. But there was a cost. In healing me, she weakened her bond with the veil. Her cosmic aura flickered. She gasped in alarm. Cade, she said, by healing you, I may lose my dominion. I grabbed her hand, then let it go. She stared at me, stunned again. No one has ever told me to choose myself, she whispered. Then I'm the first. Her lips parted. Cade, you make me tremble in ways no weapon or rebellion ever could. The Great Rebellion, and her choice words spread quickly. The Empress had weakened. 3 rival monarchies launched an attack, attempting to seize control of the Dominion. The palace darkened. Sirens wailed. The veil dimmed. Lysaria stood on the command balcony overlooking her fleet, armor cracked, eyes glowing faintly. "If I attempt to restore the veil's power fully," she said, "I might lose what I regained today, the feeling of being seen, of being beautiful." I stepped beside her. "What do you want?" She looked at me. "Not as an empress. As a woman. I want to live," she admitted. "Not just rule." "Then fight for that," I urged. "Fight as Lysaria, not the veil's vessel." In that moment, she removed her crown. Her guards shouted in shock. Her advisors panicked. But she stood tall. "I am Lysaria Violetiachwian," she declared, "with or without the veil. I will defend my people as myself." And the armies rallied behind her, not out of fear, but loyalty. The battle that followed shook space itself. Warships burned across the starlit horizon. Lysaria unleashed her remaining power with precision, shielding civilians and outmaneuvering the invading monarchies. When her strength faltered, she fought physically, wielding a blade of condensed starlight. At one point, an enemy warlord cornered her. Before he could strike, I intervened again, slamming a fallen beam into his exosuit, buying her time to finish him. When the dust settled, the enemy fleets retreated, and the Dominion stood victorious. But Lysaria collapsed from exhaustion. I caught her before she fell, just as she had caught me. "You chose your people," I whispered. She smiled weakly. "No," she corrected. "I chose myself." And her hand squeezed mine, ending, the Empress who learned to feel 3 cycles past. The palace was rebuilt. The veil was restored, but this time, Lysaria controlled it rather than being controlled by it. Its glow no longer overshadowed her natural presence. One evening, she summoned me to the observatory where we first spoke alone. She stood by the window, dressed not in armor, but in flowing silver fabric that mirrored the nebula's light. When she turned to me, her expression was warm, soft, human in all the ways that mattered. "Cade," she said gently, "there is one more truth you must know." I stepped closer. "Tell me." "When you called me beautiful that day," her voice trembled, the same tremble from our first meeting. "I shook not because of offense, but because no one had ever seen me as more than a weapon." She reached up, touching my cheek. "You changed that. You changed me." I swallowed hard. I just told the truth. And the truth, she whispered, was enough to shatter my entire world. Her hand slipped into mine. "Cade Rowan, traveler from Earth, would you stay in my world? Not as a prisoner, not as a subject, but as the one person allowed to speak to me without fear." My heart raced. "Lysaria, yes. I'll stay." She smiled, a real, unrestrained smile that made the stars outside seem to dim in comparison. "Then," she said softly, "say it again." I leaned close. "You're beautiful." She trembled, but this time, she stepped into me and rested her forehead against mine. And in that quiet, starlit moment, the Empress of 3 galaxies, the woman feared by millions, whispered the words she had guarded her entire life. "Then let me be beautiful for you." And the galaxies outside burned brighter than ever.